Welcome to the Conscious Cafe seminar on the power of gratitude. We're going to start today with a meditation, which is the Golden Light meditation, and it will go at your pace. So let's begin with this. This is the go-to meditation that healers use to restore themselves if they're given healing and to bring back their energy. So close your eyes and imagine that you're dipped in liquid gold. Nothing can come in and nothing can go out. See a tube from your head far, far through the universe. The star of Chiron, the wounded healer. It's a very powerful star. Very gently, at a rate that's acceptable to you, will not hurt you. Draw down the light of Chiron and place it in your heart. And when you've done that, indicate so that I know. Still seeing yourself dipped in liquid gold. Nothing can come in and nothing can go out. Imagine a tube from your foot to the center of the earth. At a rate that's acceptable to you and will not hurt you, gently draw up the red energy of the mother, as far as the solar plexus. And when you've done that, let me know. Now merge the two energies into a beautiful, vibrant pink and feel them saturate every cell of your body, from the top of your head to the tip of your toe, almost as if you were a sponge that's left in the bath and someone forgot to turn off the tap. Every single cell should be completely saturated with this beautiful healing energy. It goes into your past life. It goes into your DNA. It goes into your toes. It goes into your golden shadow and into your unseen shadow. You feel like a sponge at the bottom of the bath, completely saturated with this beautiful energy. And when you've done that, let me know. Ask this energy to take any trauma, any trial, anything anyone's thrown at you that doesn't belong to you, and see it change colour. I do not know which colour it will be. Perhaps it will be green or grey or black. It changes colour. It takes anything that you've picked up on behalf of someone kindly, if you felt sympathy for them, any toxicity, any negative emotion. You feel kind of saturated with it. It changes colour. And when that's happened, let me know. You do not need to hold this any longer. When you're ready, very gently allow it all to drain out through your feet into the earth who will receive it for you. Let the whole thing drop, let it all go. Just let the whole thing go. And when it's gone, let me know. Well done. Still seeing yourself dipped in liquid gold. Nothing can come in, nothing can go out. Once more, send a tube from your head, but this time send it to our star, our sun, from which you are made. You have the sun within you as iron in your blood. Drawing down the light of the sun, place it in your heart and feel it illuminate you and lift you up. And know that you're a miracle, that you have every right to be here and every right to shine. Feel the lift from the sun, and know whenever you need this energy, it's always available to you. And when you've done that, let me know. Still seeing yourself dipped in liquid gold. Nothing can come in, nothing can go out. Once more, send a tube from your foot to the center of the earth, bringing up the red energy of the mother as far as the solar plexus. The earth is your mother, she's your friend, she wants you to be happy. The happier you are, the more you'll give to her as you walk on her surface for all the days of your life, as a miracle, bringing your gifts with your heart that doesn't stop beating even when you're asleep. Feel the energy of the mother. Abundance is your birthright. Her arms are always around you. And when you've done that, let me know. Good. Now find yourself standing in a strong cave made of stone, a strong room, a regal room, perhaps a chamber. And find that you're completely safe in this room. And just become aware of any energy that you're sending out. Almost see yourself as a third person. Be aware that you look like a star. Any energy any gold that you're sending out, or anything that's not gold, anything that's you almost look like a hedgehog. See the light that you're sending out. And when you've noticed it, let me know. In the interest of connection and just drawing back to yourself, not of severance, it's perfectly permissible to draw all your gold back in. So almost as though you're a porcupine withdrawing its quills, gently draw all of your gold back into yourself. And when you've done that, let me know. Good. Now imagine yourself to be a beautiful golden statue and see yourself standing there and look at yourself almost as though an angel would look at you and see how much courage you have and how beautiful you are, and how to an angel you'd be incredibly dear for all of your complexity and your brilliance and how you make your way on the earth, all the good cheer and kindness that you bring, and how you work to honour the earth, honour yourself, repair the world, repair yourself. Really understand that you contain the light of the divine within you, and that you're worth your weight of gold. And when you felt that you're worth your weight in gold, let me know. Almost as if you're a butterfly coming out of a cocoon or a snake shedding its skin. Allow your soul or your astral body to walk out of that statue. Just come out and make a declaration to the world. You could say something like, here I am, I make my way, I go in courage and peace, I wish to make my mark. Whatever you wish to say what you need to say. And then when you've done that, let me know. Good. Now make sure that you're feeling grounded. Just tap maybe the top of your head and stamp your feet. Open your eyes and come back into the room. You can come back into the room now with your eyes open. Stamp, stamp, stamp a little bit. Make sure your crown chakra is closed. Say close, close, close. And make sure that you're back here. And then that's it, you're done. And we'll start for the next bit in a minute for we begin the actual presentation on the power of gratitude. Okay. So welcome to the presentation on the power of gratitude. So this is talking about how my journey of using the gratitude technique over a period of 10 years. I found that it helps me to be in a state of grace, and if I'm ever low, it pulls me up. And through having that gratitude, I do feel as though there's been a great change in my life. So this is I'm just going to screen share it. Welcome to the Conscious Cafe presentation, The Power of Gratitude. We're going to look at the science of gratitude in this presentation, and we're going to look at how we can apply the technique of keeping a gratitude diary practically, so that it enhances our lives. In relation to the science of gratitude, Berkeley University in particular have looked at it a great deal, the concept. They have looked at some trends. They are saying that the word gratitude, that people who are grateful have six specific habits. They say that keeping a gratitude diary is not about a spiritual bypass. It's not just about always being in the zone and thinking how wonderful everything is. People who are grateful also think about how bad things can be sometimes, and that we know. So it's not about putting anything to one side. It's that when a situation is difficult, there's always something to be grateful for somewhere. The next thing that they say, another characteristic, is that people who are grateful take time to smell the roses, they put it. And that is if it's like really feeling something when it's lovely. So having a practice of being very present. If you're eating something like a fantastic chocolate, really understanding how amazing the chocolate is. Or if you're looking at a flower, you're smelling that flower. So you're really there in the moment. And apparently that makes it more sticky. By doing that, by making it embodied, it makes it more sticky, and that you can then remain and feel grateful for longer. The next thing that the next characteristic is people who are grateful, they take good things as gifts and not as birthrights. And so that's cultivating not a sense of entitlement, not just thinking you're always entitled, but thinking how privileged we are. Indeed, we are privileged to be embodied and be on the earth. The other characteristic is to be grateful to people, not just to the material, and that heightens the sense of material connection. So if someone gives you a gift, it's to appreciate the person giving you the gift, as well as the gift. Then the next thing in terms of cultivating a good attitude towards gratitude is to be very specific and working out what it is that you're grateful for. And then finally, it's to think outside the box, and referring back to the first one in terms of thinking about how difficult life can be sometimes. And if you're in a situation of crisis, gratitude can become a critical cognitive process, and in a way of thinking about the world that can allow a stepping stone out of a disaster. So it's in some ways, although it's quite a deep practice, this concept of being grateful. Although I've done this for 10 years, I don't always find it that easy. At the moment, I'm posting a gratitude diary every day. Sometimes I miss a day, but then I will go back. When I initially set out on the practice, which I learned from Rona Byrne's book, The Magic, it was to try and do it for 28 days. And a group of us tried to do it for 28 days, and we couldn't. We habitually failed. It took me 6 times to be able to do it for 28 days, and now I can do it every day. So if you decide to go for this practice, be patient with yourself, and don't put too much expectation. Just have grace with it. I think one of the reasons why gratitude works so well lies in the whole concept that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, making manifest the divine. And I was taught about this when I was studying the Biora Energy Healing course, that if you think about us standing on top of the world, we're almost like little conduits, and we take an idea and we turn it into matter. And I find this to be so miraculous. So the way it would work is that you'd have the idea, like an inspiration. Like when I wanted to write a book, I was compelled to write it. The inspiration came. So that's to be in spirit. To be inspired is to be in spirit. Then it follows through to the brow chakra, the purple brow. The affirmation for the purple brow is, I have the right to see and understand the truth. So if you're bringing an idea into the world, it's important to think whether or not it's a practical thing. I mean, it's maybe if you wake up in the night and think, I'm going to make stardust cookies, and you could see that's going to be a great idea. The next day, when you in the cold light of day, you might think that's not so practical and you can't really make it. Or maybe you will work out a way, I don't know. But it's a journey from the conception to making it manifest on earth. So it starts with the inspiration, then it comes into the brow. I have the right to see and to understand the truth, and there's no divide. It's the psychic truth as well as the rational truth. We made the divide. So if the idea is going to come, it then travels from the brow to the throat chakra. The affirmation for the throat chakra, I have the right to hear and to speak my truth. So it's about authenticity. And it's very important that anything we bring in terms of turning the divine into something material, has an authenticity and a passion about it. Because if it's not true, it can be flawed. So having made the ideas make its progress down the chakra, it then comes to the heart, and I teach as a glass ceiling through the heart, because everything above the heart hasn't yet formed. It's metaphysical. It's not about action. So the affirmation for the heart is, I have the right to give and to receive love. That is about, it's about, in a way, the Zohar says that people who are able to receive operate at a higher level than people who are giving, because it involves surrender. So, and it's a balance. So the person who, if you kiss someone, who gets the benefit of the kiss? The person who receives the kiss, or the person who gives the kiss? And in terms of the practice of gratitude, having something that's heartfelt is so important. And if it's a project, you can't take the project onto earth unless it is authentic and real to you. In terms of the projects coming through the chakras and becoming manifest, things can get aborted at any moment. So like you might wake up in the night and have a brilliant idea. By the time you get up in the morning, you might realize it's not such a good idea. And that's okay, because they're all journeys. So then the project is continuing through you as a spiritual being, making manifest the divine, comes from the heart. And now it's coming out of the world of the metaphysical and the heavenly. It's coming into the world of actuality. So it's around action. So it goes to the solar plexus, which is the yellow solar, which is governed by the sun. The meditation we did earlier can help to connect to that. If you can always gather the energy of the sun to give fire to your project. So it's the affirmation is, I have the right to act. And it's very important because if you have been a child who was not received, or was told that you were stupid, or whatever, by accident, or somebody who is just being clumsy, that can really impact on your capacity to bring something into the world. But if you know about it, you can repair it, because you can then think, okay, that person said that then, but it doesn't mean that's now. And you can make a repair. You can work on repairing your solar plexus. The project then will continue through. It comes into the sacral. That's the sacral chakra is about emotion, which is energy emotion. It's liquid. It's governed by the moon. So it's in the strong bowl of the pelvis. If you imagine the pelvis as a cup holding the sacral chakra. The affirmation is, I have the right to give and receive pleasure. So it's about creativity, sexuality, money, pleasure, however you wish to define it. So if you're making a project and you're bringing something to earth, even if it's just a gratitude diary, when you get into this point, you have to be able to enjoy writing it and not feel that you're being pressurized or it's not good enough or whatever you might be feeling. If the project then continues to become into the world, it needs to be made manifest. It needs to come into the material. So the base chakra goes into the root. The affirmation for the root is, I have the right to be here. And that's food, shelter. I have the right to abundance. I have the right to food, shelter, basic needs. So if we just go back over, if, for example, we were using a gratitude diary, I had the idea, I wanted a gratitude diary, I thought about it, I spoke about it, I've put it into my heart. All of this, nothing has formed yet. Then I had to act. It had to go through the middle chakra, the one that stands between heaven and earth halfway. I had to go through there. Then I had to start writing it down and have enough courage not to think that I was being silly or, whatever. Then I had to have the pleasure of it. And then it had to come as a reality. I started telling people about it. So this is how I started to create a gratitude diary. Basically every day, more or less, I take a photo. I put it up on Instagram, the photo. You can't see the photo here, but you can see the list. And it's a very, very basic, simple list. So I've got the days, because I've got a year program going at the moment. So it's 220 days, 229. And I'm saying, for being nourished, thank you. I'm saying I went out, for a quick visit. I went into Soho and to Hampstead. I had errands, valid errands. And that was amazing after this big period of lockdown. For kindness and for being received, I'm saying thank you. I'm saying thank you for connection, which of course is something that we all love to have and we all want. I'm saying thank you for roses. Again, I'm being very specific. I'm looking at the rose. I'm not really saying thank you for the thorn, but actually maybe I should. So for roses, for softness, perfume and beauty. I was grateful the rain held off and my hair wasn't spoiled. So I'm being egocentric here. Sometimes I put things up that talk about the world. I might put up for everyone being fed. I'm still making that. I'm really feeling that if I put up that for everyone having a home and everyone being fed. I'm feeling it deeply. It's a gratitude list. It must be very heartfelt. It's not ever about platitudes. It's a real deal. So there we are. So I'm saying, for a day of sweetness in which I felt restored. Sometimes nothing much happens, but the day is kind of neat, and I like it's meshed together. I like my rat run, so that's why that is there. The next part of the presentation, once we've explored this and you've actually had a chance to write your gratitude diary, we would just look briefly at the concept of Ho'oponopono, which is the Hawaiian technique of reconciliation and forgiveness, and where gratitude is a recognition and reflection back, really, in a way, almost of the gifts that we have from heaven and us on earth, saying, the gifts of the divine, and we receiving them and saying thank you. Ho'oponopono also considers the power of the world, the word, but it's about the power of undoing. So some of you might remember Gerald Ratner, who said, "The secret of my success is that I sell crap," when he talked about his jewelry shops. So he said, "I sell crap," in 3 words. You wouldn't think if someone says something like that, they can pull down their empire and impact. He said that at a presentation. He didn't know there were journalists in the audience, and the next day it was the biggest PR disaster. It was all over the newspapers. Gerald Ratner says that he sells, the secret of my success is that I sell crap. He could have said the secret of my success is that I line people's pockets with gold. He was selling to people, the lower end market, and suddenly everybody who may have worked for hours to give an engagement ring or something to the person that they loved, suddenly the man who produced it said that it was crap. And people do make slip-ups, politicians do it all the time, and when that happens, you can see the power of the word in terms of how it can destroy you, how you can destroy a building by saying 3 things in a way. And I'm just relating back to, in terms of the meditation I did, when I'm saying to remember, for us all to remember how powerful we are and how magnificent. So the Ho'oponopono, which I have to confess is hard for me to say, is I use it as a mantra of 4 words. I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. And it's a way of winding back projections. And we'll talk about it after we've explored the gratitude process in more depth. So that's enough for now in terms of this little introduction to gratitude. Here are my details if you wish to be in touch with me. And if you follow me, if you're interested in having a gratitude list daily, and which goes with an angel channel, so it's heaven and earth, you can follow me on Instagram and you will find it there. How's everyone getting on? Has anyone got a few gratitudes? Has anyone got a gratitude they'd like to share with us? Yes, Ava, would you like to share? Would you unmute yourself?
I actually didn't want to. But obviously, yeah, I have quite a few. But the one in between everything else, say thank you for being connected. And for me, it's a new thing, not connected online, being connected with life, because I've always been staying away, protecting myself, and something has started to change recently. So that's a big thing for me.
That's very beautiful. Thank you. Would anybody else like to share? Anyone I want to give a wave? Has anyone else got one to share?
Shoku is waving.
Hello, hi Judy.
Hi Shoku.
Thank you for this beautiful session today. I've just sitting here in the garden and listening and going through the list of things to be grateful for. And there's so much, once you start thinking about it, there is just so much to be grateful for. But one thing is, a few weeks ago, I fractured my leg in this garden. So my leg has been in a cast. And it made me so conscious of all the things we take for granted, our health. But I was here thinking how grateful I am that I have my family around me who've supported me and picked up medicine for me, and my mum who's been cooking for me, and my sister who's been helping me, and my brother, and just everyone around me. And then also conscious that I'm just so grateful for everything else in my body that works. My eyes so I can see the sun, my ears so I can hear the birds. Every cell in my body is working, all my organs, I don't even have to think about it. So I'm just deeply, deeply grateful for my health and for all the support and love I've had around me.
That's a beautiful gratitude. Thank you for sharing that, and I hope your leg is better.
Thank you. It'll be off the cast will come off in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
And how lovely that you're being so cheerful, because I would be like, oh, it's so itchy. You see, that's the whole thing. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a gratitude to bring to the table?
Muriel.
Yeah, hi. I think it comes along with the previous gratitude. Thank you for being alive and have the opportunity to wake up every morning and see the beauty that surrounds me. Thank you to the universe. I'm very grateful. And that's again something that we take as granted, and gratitude for being alive is something that accompanied me for my entire life, and I feel it every day stronger and stronger. So I wish to share it with you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to express my gratitude, not just for this glass of water, but because every morning I get up and water comes out of a tap in my home. And it's so easy to forget how many people on the planet have to go miles every day just to get water, whereas we don't even think about it in the West. So among many, many things, I'm grateful. We all know what it's like when there's a problem with the water. So I'm very grateful to have water every day.
Yes, it's true. That's beautiful. And how much liberty we have because of it. You know, my child doesn't have to carry water. I just wish for everyone to have water. Hello, can you hear me, Judy?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. Okay.
Yes.
Does anybody else? Thank you for your lovely gratitude, Judy.
I'll share.
Okay. Hello.
Hi. That a similar one to the luckiness of being in the West. That I'm grateful that I could spend money yesterday on a treat that I didn't really need. I went to the garden centre and Tesco's and spent altogether £120, which I shouldn't have, but I really enjoyed what I bought. So I'm really grateful that I had that money somehow, and that I could just do what I wanted with it and enjoy the things that I bought for my house, and that my garden's benefiting from it basically, and my house is benefiting from it. So I'm grateful that I can sometimes feel like I can spend money.
Definitely. I think the world wants us to be abundant. The book, we're meant to have things, not to be over, but it's good. Congratulations. I hope that everything you bought flourishes very well.
Oh, thank you.
Does anybody else have anything to bring to the table in terms of gratitude?
Yes. Tony.
Yes, hello. I had quite a long list, but I think the one that's sort of overriding was gratitude for the fact that I'm here at all somehow. That it's kind of if you think about it, it's kind of an accident that individual people as people are here at all. You know, it could kind of so easily never have been, if you see what I mean. So it's kind of a fluke that we're here, and I'm grateful for that.
Yes, it's true. It is. It's like a miracle of your birth. There's that song, isn't there? The Life of Brian, the song. I think it's true. That's a good thought. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here too.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here.
Does anyone else? There's a few questions come up. Does anyone want to bring anything to the table in terms of gratitude? I'll look at the questions. I just wanted to mention that when I started to try and this Rona Brown's book called The Magic. Rona Brown, Bryne. She had this book called The Magic. It's the gratitude practice. And a group of us, with myself and my clients, we try to do it. And the whole idea is to write this list of 10 things that you're grateful for every day, saying thank you, thank you, thank you. It was incredibly hard. It took me 3 or 4 times to be able to do it every day. in the end, now I'm doing it. I'm on a year version. I'm writing down 10 things every day and putting them up. You can follow them if you want. I know you have your own things. They're on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook. So I'll give you my link at the end. But it's not so easy in a way. It sounds so easy to just think about something that you're going to be grateful for, but it's actually a discipline I found, and so did my colleagues, to actually just say, okay, I'm going to make a commitment. So now I take a photo of something and put it up. Sometimes I skip a day, but I'll go back. But mostly it's every day. And it puts me into, when I'm doing it, I do feel like I'm praying, as though it's in a state of prayer. But if you want to do it's the benefit of trying to kind of do it over a longer period of time is that I start to feel that I walk in more grace, that things manifest for me, but it's not like the material, just like I start to be happier somehow. And I don't understand why, but I just do. Maybe it's because the vibration brings angels, just like it's a higher vibration. So the word thank you, thank you, thank you, just saying thank you, thank you, thank you, just kind of lifts me somehow. You could have a go about it if you want. If you want to have a go, I wasn't planning this, but if you just said, I just want to do a poll. If you just said thank you, thank you, thank you yourselves, if you've got it even on mute, say it out loud and see if you feel lifted. Let me just see if you just say thank you, thank you. Do you feel lifted?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Good. So let me look at these questions now. There's one from Andrea. I've noticed that each time I do a meditation that involves visualization, I struggle with actually feeling the feeling. How can I make this happen? Andrea, where are you? Let me see you. Are you here still somewhere? There you are. Andrea, it's, don't worry. The whole thing about meditation is if you start worrying, it makes a block. Just have it as you're perfect as you are. It may be that you don't visualize so much, but you might be feeling more. Even just embarking on the visualization, where you are is absolutely perfect. There's no need to worry. That's all I can say for it. It's the fear, I think, that blocks us. If you really want to see something, you could practice, like if you put an orange on a plate and looked at it for 2 minutes before the visualization and close your eyes, you'd see the orange. But then that's not really the point. The point is to kind of connect in with wherever it is you're wishing to go. So you could just be imagining it rather than visualizing it. You might just need a different word. So find the word that takes you to transports you in the way that you wish to be transported, and use that. Okay. Someone's asking me, can you repeat the chakras aims again? I will, because they're very important. I think it is amazing to see ourselves as a conductor, as like a conducting rod that has all this capacity to bring things into being. So I have the right to connect to spirit, to connect to God. I have the right to be inspired. Okay, that's number one. It's white, it's the crown chakra. It's important, you can close your crown after you've been meditating if you want. Yoga people think they shouldn't close the crown. If you were in a temple and you were being very spiritual and you had guards at the door, then maybe it's fine to keep your crown open. But we go into the marketplace, and there used to be more of a divide between the spiritual and the material. So people bring the priest bread. Now the priest makes bread, and we make bread in a holy way, because we're integrating the spiritual and the material as we ascend, as we lift the vibration of the earth. So it's okay, you can just say close and imagine that your crown's closed. I have the right to connect, to be in spirit, to be inspired. The brow chakra, I have the right to see and understand the truth. And this is your truth. You are recording your life on the planet. This is your truth. It's other people's truth as well, but it's yours. It's how you're seeing things. I have the right to see and to understand. There's no divide between the rational and the psychic. We make that divide. We are intuitive. Einstein would say that he was intuitive. Everyone's intuitive. We try to be too rational. So I have the right to see and understand my truth. The throat chakra, I have the right to hear and speak the truth. This is about authenticity. I have the right to hear and to speak the truth. Okay, has everyone got these? The heart, I have the right to give and to receive love. It's flowing both ways. The solar, I have the right to act. The sacral, I have the right to give and to receive pleasure, sexuality, creativity, innovation. Emotion, energy, emotion. People spending a lifetime to work out their emotions. In fact, we probably don't ever, I probably don't even, we never really know ourselves in a way. It can be fleeting. Yeah. And then the root is the root chakra is very important. Maslow hierarchy of need. It's a house. I have the right to be here. And that's the right to basic things, food and shelter. It's material. It's so the way it comes through is it comes through as a concept. So if you think of writing a book, okay? So oh, I think I want to write a book. It's here. You know, have the idea, like my angel told me I had the inspiration to write my book for the gift of an angel. So I had the inspiration. I start thinking about it. Okay, is it possible? It can get chucked out in this progress anytime, because I might think, actually, I don't have time to write a book. If it's going to proceed, it comes down to the throat, you're speaking and listening. Do you think I should write a book? My son said to me, don't write a book recently. He said, Mum, you can't afford to write a book. It takes up too much time. You know, you can have people who say things like that. So it's coming on a passage, the idea to make something material. So it comes to the heart. You need passion to bring something in a way. If you don't have passion, it won't arrive. So it has to come into the heart, and you have to love what you're doing. You can't write a book that you don't love. So that's the ceiling. Up here, it's all metaphysical, and nothing has been formed. Then to become formed, it pushes through. You have to act. You have to sit down and you put your ideas on paper. Then once you've done that, it's coming into the material. If you haven't done that, it's all just up here. If you haven't been received properly, it can be very hard to push through to the to start acting. And if you know that about yourself, you can nourish yourself. You can say, I know it's hard for me, and I will make sure I work for an hour each day. You can counterbalance it, yeah? So in terms of the process of the book, I've had the inspiration for it, I've thought about it, I've spoken it, I've heard, I've enjoyed just starting to do it, I'm putting it on paper or I'm putting it into my computer. Then it comes into the sacral, that's the art of creating it. 19 times I edited my book. You know, I like to weave words. Yeah, and then it's pushed. Sometimes it would get stuck there. Books are never published. They sit on a shelf. I met someone once, he said, I met someone in the passport office who said, I've been writing my book for 20 years. It's in a suitcase. I can't get it published. I can't get it out. Then, so to be here, it has to be on the shelf. You see it, it's there. And this process for a mobile phone, for a love affair, anything is astonishing in terms of how we do it. I cannot get over it. Okay. So that's, does anyone, if you have any more questions about how we make something manifest, it's probably easier if you wouldn't mind, you could speak it. Yeah, sorry. Yes. What's the question? You're talking? Yeah. Tony, yes. Sorry, your name didn't come up.
Thank you. I just, you briefly mentioned the time that you lost your job. And I'm just interested and somebody else talked about, you know, having injured themselves and something, and kind of the sort of shadow side of what Judy mentioned about, you know, people who do not have clean water. So I'm just interested to know, because how, you know, what one might call the shadow side of this. I mean, how do you deal with the things that it's not really obvious that one could have gratitude about? Okay. So, I mean, specifically, I mean, well, let's take the example of losing a job, right? I mean, that's on the face of it, although I guess, you know, positive things emerge from that, or could well emerge from that. Maybe it was necessary to lose one's job for whatever reason, you know, maybe it wasn't the right job to have, you know, so maybe it was a good thing. But what I'm trying to get at is, you know, on the sort of face of it, where something is obviously not a nice thing, if I can put it as basically as that.
Yeah. Okay. I can.
What, you know, what to do? Because
Okay.
it's kind of easy to be grateful for you know, the roses in my garden, but it's not so easy to be. There are lots of things that it's not easy to be grateful for. I think that's what I'm trying to ask you.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's the whole existential experience of being on Earth, and also if you're empathetic, if you're an empath, and 1 in 5 people empath and feel pain, more pain. They actually feel it as though it's theirs, and things that happen. In terms of my own personal experience, because if I'd chosen to give up my business, I would have felt empowered. It's when, and I would have said I was going into the space of into the space of exploration. So when it was in 2008, the banking crisis impacted on my work. I was a consultant in fundraising and employed by a lot of councils by word of mouth, and it just went overnight. And I was very shocked, and I was in a lot of grief. I didn't put the grief aside, but taking the practice of writing down the gratitude list and just keep trying to do it, it replaced the trauma in a way, because it was very easy, because that had happened, and I didn't want to bypass it, and I was sad. But on the other hand, I reframed it to thinking, okay, so that has happened, but now I can explore. And actually, the fact that I can get out of bed, I have mobility, that I still inhabit this body, even though it's not my perfect body, etc., etc. The fact that I still can see, I just had to go right back. So my gratitude list with them might even be, great, thank you for having a cup of coffee. Because like some people can't, I know that some people at the moment, and this is not right, people, if I was homeless on the street, at least I had to say, well, at least I have a roof over my head, I can make myself a cup of coffee. I had to go, so just by going back and then having the belief that the more I didn't talk the negative, because of this whole thing about how we are so powerful. I learned, I've had the Biora energy, so I'd learned this whole thing about how we can make something manifest. And it seems so magnificent and so complex and so beautiful that I then had the belief that I wanted a better world. So I was thinking about Tika Alam. I was preparing myself and thinking I was going to repair the world. That's the Jewish, it's to make things right. It's the practice of Tika Alam. So it was, so even when I would sink into a wormhole, this stopped me going into the wormhole. It was almost like, rather than eating a bar of chocolate, which I was also doing at the times, it was just like to write the gratitude just kept me up. And it doesn't mean that I was putting everything to one side or I didn't have an understanding of it, because I absolutely did. For me, it means that while I have it, that I'm recognizing the divine in everyone, that everyone has the right to have that root chakra, to have their place, because each human being is so beautiful and so magnificent.
Thank you for that. It's very interesting. I mean, the other just quick thought was that I'd be interested in your thoughts on this as well, is that, you know, there are in some, you know, spiritual traditions, particularly in Buddhism, there's this strain which I've always found quite hard to grapple with. The individual person cannot be happy until everyone is happy. You know, my happiness depends on everybody being happy. And I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, that's beautiful, beautiful thought. But I just wonder how one deals with that on a day-to-day basis, because I mean, I suppose what I'm getting at is, you know, knowing that so many people are not happy, how can I be happy? You know, am I allowed, or grateful rather?
Yeah.
You know, how can I be I mean, clearly I am grateful, and I know that I'm grateful for all sorts of things, but at the same time, there is so much that is not,
Yep, there's a
that
lot.
is difficult.
There's a lot that's difficult.
So,
I can answer from my own personal viewpoint in terms of how I cope with it, if that's any use to you.
of course.
Is that okay? So I converted to Judaism. One of the people who mentored me, she gave me like 4 legs to the table for Judaism, which is, she said that the Torah says that you can sum up everything in Judaism, the purpose of the Judaism, by standing on one foot, which is love thy, do not, this is what Hillel said, do not do anything to anyone else that you would not want done to you. Okay, so that was one leg of my table. I'm trying to remember these. I had them very fixed. The other leg was, she said, you should be joyous and happy at all times, because it's karmic. And so she told me that the Hasidic people, they were very thankful. They went and got drunk on nature, and they went fiddling from village to village, getting drunk on ecstasy. I find it hard to pronounce ecstasy, but yeah. So those are my 2 legs, so my view. And then I had repair of self, in terms of my spiritual journey, and repair of the world. And then on top of that, I have as long as I'm doing my best. And then I have to have discipline, because I know that if I just think, if I feel myself going, and I can go for a couple of days thinking, oh, it's so awful. If I do that, then I'm not actually doing the repair. I'm not doing my bit to repair. So so sometimes I might say, if it's so bad, I will sit and pray for, with the COVID, I was quite worried because so many people were sitting making scones, and it was like lots of flash, like here I am in my, we weren't talking about suffering. And, one of my friends was very ill with COVID. And so I know people who've lost people, there's trauma going on, and I didn't want to bypass the trauma. But then again, there was no point me just sitting all day thinking about the trauma. So I just gave myself, I timed it and put it in my diary. I'm going to give half an hour. I do it that, I kind of manage myself like that, if that's any help to you.
Well, I think that's interesting. I mean, I know that, and somebody in the chats just talked, I think that's the Buddhist, one of the Buddhist meditations is the metta bhavana, the loving kindness meditation. May all the beings in the world be happy. So it's, I think one has to acknowledge, I mean, and you've touched on this, I mean, the idea, I mean, you phrased it as repairing the world.
Yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt because I think there's a couple more questions. Joan, you have a question?
Mine wasn't so much as a question as when Wendy first started, something that really resonated with me and puts it into perspective is the idea of entitlement. So once you think from a perspective that we're not entitled to absolutely anything, whether that be wealth or health or love or anything, then you're actually grateful for every little tiny thing. Because I think in our Western consumer world, we think that we are entitled to all of these things, and therefore you're not grateful for them because you expect to have those things. So I really like that fact that if you start from ground zero and think that you're not entitled to anything, then everything becomes a blessing. So I just wanted to really make that comment.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
a very
you.
good comment.
And we have a question from Sarah. Sarah, did I read your hand? Sorry, I saw a little hand in the corner of the screen, that's why.
Sorry, that was me agreeing.
Okay.
I would like to make a comment on it though, as we've just got to that point, and that is that this morning before I came here, I went for a run. And Tony, when you said being happy, and when Wendy commented on that, I think Wendy's right. You have to compartmentalize it, because I don't think it's helpful for us all to go into a spiral of negativity. So when I went for the run, one of my observations, I live in the country, is I hardly see any children out. And I've been so shocked. I live in a village opposite a path that leads down to a most beautiful walk to a stream, and it's through woods and fields, and it's really beautiful. And I'm so shocked I don't see hardly any children. And the village I live in must have at least 500 children of primary school age and younger. Anyway, today there was a young man running, and you know how hot it is, and he was totally sweaty, and he just walked to start his run from a tree. So I jokingly said, I think you've got too many clothes on. He was only in his early 30s. But what came about that from the energy that I suppose, because I was feeling, I do my gratitudes every day. I have been recently. It has changed my life. Thank you, Wendy. But I have found it through doing the artist's way, and I write things down. And one of them is I always do that too. But I think if you feel happy, and I live on my own, and I visit my mother every other day for like half an hour, and I haven't been out for months, and I actually do feel really happy. And I think if you can emanate that, this man chose to tell me something terribly sad, and so he's in his 30s, and basically told me his wife had tried to commit suicide twice in the last week because she had so overrun with fear, completely not living in the world any of us are living in. And she, being the crisis team, had taken her off this morning to hospital. And he felt so overwhelmed. He phoned his mother and asked her to take the 2-year-old and 6-year-old, and this was his moment to come out. He poured his whole heart out to me, and I just stood there and I just listened. But I think I was emanating joy somehow, that he felt he could talk to me. And at the end I said, you know, if you ever want, I live at this house here, and if you ever want to come by and have a conversation, and at the end I thought he would say nothing, as if you really don't mind. And I said, no, I really mean it. You know, you seem to have gone through a lot. Now, I think sometimes that you can have joy yourself and happiness and be content and feel other people's pain. But I think Wendy's right. You have to box it into a certain place, because Judy we joke about me floating through life in a certain way, but I do think that it's really important that you can have joy and happiness even in these dreadful times, because actually the real truth is, right now across the world there are people dying all the time, and people haven't got water, and all the things Judy said. So it's just because it's right on our doorstep, this shock. The shock is with other humans is constant. It's everywhere if we chose to look at it. So I've loved what we've talked about this morning, and the entitlement thing, and being grateful for everything, because when we can be, the happiness means maybe it just comes out from us, emanates.
Yes. Thank you very much indeed for those comments.
I've got a question from someone who feels that she's not sufficiently valued in her work, and wonders if you would like to say something about that.
Okay, I can do quickly, Judy, and then if we were going to talk a little bit about Ho'oponopono, if I take that last question on actual gratitude and then move on to that, is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
This is the is whether or not it's a difficult one in terms of how you wish to be with it, because I don't think when you're being grateful you should necessarily be passive or think that that this is your situation and you should put up with it. The gratitude isn't a thing. Gratitude is more of an exaltation than a confinement. So it's to be exalting, and it may be that you could think, actually your question leads us into Ho'oponopono in a way, because the Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian technique of reconciliation and forgiveness. So it's again working on how we make something manifest. And it's again around the high vibration of words. It's Ho'oponopono means to put something right and to realign it. So, and the mantra that I use, people put them in a different way. I use, I am sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. So when I've had a situation that I'm not pleased with, that I wish to put right, I've used Ho'oponopono to undo it. Because if we're so powerful, our minds are so powerful, if we're so powerful, we can have so much in the world, like Zoom or this or that. We start to make something from nothing into the material. And half the problem with us, I think, is that we have fallen in love with the process of being able to do that, rather than the divine, which allows us to do it. And if we focused on the divine that allowed us to do it, we would make sure that there was less suffering, that people did. It's within our power to have food and shelter. etc., and less suffering. So in a way, we do all have a responsibility. You're right with that. But the Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, Ho'oponopono, I'm trying to learn how to say it properly today. Ho'oponopono, that's how you say it properly. Ho'oponopono. It means to put things right. And as a practitioner, I've worked with people and seen with Ho'oponopono something. So Shuko, if you wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. And then underneath it, you said, I'm not appreciated, or I cannot change my situation with my job, or whatever it was you wish to change. And then and then if you threw down all the reasons why it was stuck, bearing in mind how powerful thoughts are, the Ho'oponopono is like, it unwinds them. It's almost as if we're like silkworms. So if we think of something that's making us stuck, like we can't change our job, we wrap ourselves up in it. So we're like the butterfly in it, and it's like we're trapped, and we've made a cocoon of silk around us. And the Ho'oponopono, by listening to them and saying, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you, is so powerful. I've had case studies. Twice I've seen angels, and once my client saw them come behind, because the high vibrational words, I'm sorry, very high vibrational, I forgive you, hi, I love you, thank you, hi. So I think it caused a portal for angels to come and give us assistance. And if you think how dear we are to angels and how dear we are, anyway, don't ever be afraid to ask for assistance. Even if it's just for a car parking space, you can ask, because it's just like if you think of how much you might love your favorite person or your pet or something, anyone who you do anything for, okay? But it's to be painstakingly to list out the reasons why you haven't got the job and what's in yourself, because maybe when you were 5, someone said something to you that put you off, that they might have said, well, you've just got to be a good girl. And they might have been trying to protect you. They might not have been being horrible. They might have said, well, you must keep quiet. Or what did I say? Oh, sorry, oh, you'll never go to university. You know, you might be, or you can't speak properly. I was told you're not articulate, you can't write. We've told things. The Ho'oponopono winds it back. So that song that children sing, like wind your cotton reel. So just by making a list, and then putting all the reasons why I cannot be joyous, because how much right do you think you have to be joyous? I think I have 10 out of 10 right to be joyous. How joyous do I think I am? Well, lately, and I'm 60, I just like a week ago had a shift. That means I'm more joyous. But it's taken me 30 years. It doesn't come easy, this whole business about loving yourself and being joyous. But the Ho'oponopono is very good. So she's saying you're told to be a good girl and don't rock the boat. Okay, so Shuku, you could come to me or have a go on your own. Write down, why I do not feel I can ask for a pay rise. And write them all down. And you have, I was told to be a good girl. Well, actually now, that person who told you that then, that's very kind of them, but you don't need that bit of programming. So you can wind it back with, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. Does that all make sense? I know it sounds very complicated. I have to say that I'm very strict when I'm doing Ho'oponopono, and I'm very strict with the words when I go into that ritual, because it is like a prayer of undoing. And it's an unmaking. And so if you do your list to unmake something, you may feel a bit raw afterwards. You might feel unraveled because it's a whole new way of being, and your body will need to adapt. It's like taking off some layers of an onion. Does anyone need any clarification? Is that clear enough?
Can I just ask or make a little remark quickly? I just love when you listed the method for what you want to change and how to unwind it. I just love how eager we are and ready we are to be healed, because as soon as you said that leading remark, oh, things somebody might have said to you age 5, immediately it comes back to you and you haven't thought of it for 50 years. But it's a signal to me how ready and eager we are actually to have done and be healed now. It's a beautiful gift. Thank you. I knew straight away what my programming was, and I can do it now. It was just there under the surface. Thank you for that. It just says to me how eager we are to offer it up and be done with it now. Thank you.
Oh, that's so kind of you to give me feedback, and it's my great pleasure. I think this is the whole thing about the new age, the new portal as we move through. And I just hope that we do turn around, Tony, even if we budded everybody to have the basics, you know, because it's true. I do feel that while I'm one person's homeless, I'm homeless in a way. Or if one person's hungry in the world, I'm hungry. I do feel it, but I can't stop. Yeah. So,
yeah, I'm just a little bit confused about the kind of methodology about identifying something and then doing the list sort of thing. So can you just go through that again a little bit for me?
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't put a list on my I should have put a list on the slide. Next time I will. It's just because I was touching on it. So typically, if I wanted to change something, if I was unhappy, so supposing I like, for example, in all honesty, I've had a turbulent relationship with my mum. And the thing was to heal it with my mum. And so I wrote down why I was angry with her. And so how much out of 10 am I angry with my mum at the moment? And I score it at the beginning. So what I want to sort out, if I'm doing it, I want to sort out being angry with mum. Okay, so I put how much angry I'll use, so like 110 out of 10 angry. Okay, so above the top I put, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. Then I put, I'm angry with my mother because, well, when I was 5, she was rude to me, or, you know, she doesn't affirm me, or she doesn't acknowledge my work. And so then I'd say, I'm angry, I'd read it out, I'm angry with my mum because when I was 5, she was horrible to me. I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. Okay? I'm angry with my mum because she will not affirm my work. And I hold in my crystal. I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. Okay? And then I'm angry with my mum because there wasn't always enough to eat in the house. I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. So you see, it goes personal, yeah? And then once you've said it once, you go back to the list and you look down and you see if it's still shiny. And then you kind of treat yourself as though you're like Vicky Pollard, you know, like in Little Britain, like you're a belligerent teenager. Are you really angry with her because she was rude with you when you were 5? Does that mean you really have to suffer now? Well, not really. But sometimes they still resonate. So if it resonates, you leave it there. If it's gone, if you're taking the charge, you cross it out. Okay, this is what I'm doing with the work, yeah? Does that make sense? And then you repeat it. If there's one that's really sticky, if it says that there was not always enough to eat in the house, then you could bring that up and make that headline. I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. And then you could say, I'm angry, there was not enough food in the house. And you put down, because it meant things weren't settled. It meant this, it meant that. Yeah, and then it will go. So you just headline it and move it up. Okay, so it's my great privilege. Once I worked with a client, I'm not joking, it's as though they had a shadow inside them. And we did the Ho'oponopono, and able to remove the negative program. It was about being in the world. It got up and walked out. I saw it. I can see energy. I saw this shade leave this person. And typically afterwards, clients come and their faces have changed. It's the most beautiful technique. There's quite a lot about it in the internet. I haven't read that much. I adapted it myself because I like the thing about the words, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. And I see miracles with it. Once I was working with someone in Peru, across the world by Skype at night, and he had a very tricky situation with someone who was being awful to them. And we Ho'oponoponoed them why that person was being awful. And then by the end of the session, he got a WhatsApp and he said, they've just written apologize. They're never going to trouble me again. Okay. And that happens all the time. I learnt about this by from Barbara Mohr's book, BARBURMOHL, Barbara Mohr. I think it was Cosmic Ordering. That's where I learnt it from, about Ho'oponopono. And it can bring Ho'oponopono. It can bring great healing. It is a miracle, as far as I've seen. And I'm not being skittish with it. I'm not saying have a sugar pill here, because sometimes when you're doing it, it is excruciatingly painful and you cry. And I have to say to people, just stay with it, because the pain comes up from wherever it's been surfaced. So it's not like taking chocolate this. You have to, it can rip you. But by the end of that session, just having said it, it goes. It's just like it's expelled, it goes. It's like a ghost, it just goes out. It's astonishing. So I hope that's helpful.
My hands is...
Julietta.
Thank you. There's a sort of conflict of interest for any angel helping you, in that they are sympathetic with what's happened to you, and they're also saying just give love to that person who's perpetrating something on you. So you can recognize from an angelic perspective, an angel can one can recognize that something is going on, someone is doing something to you, or something vindictive can be happening, and at the same time the answer is to love them, right? So it's a sort of, how can you have time to acknowledge what awful thing is happening if all you're going to do is say, it's okay, I love you?
I don't think it is that all you do, that you say you're okay, that I love you. I feel that I would never say that anyone, this work, it's not about spiritually bypassing or staying in a place of complete love. It's having self-love. It's about having, I'm sorry, I forgive you. When you say I love you, you're loving yourself. It's about building your protection, but not taking blame. It's quite complex. It's not easy, but it's certainly not any abuse. No angels ever telling anyone to remain in a situation that's abusive, ever.
Yeah, but the thing is that if you love someone, it turns it around. I completely agree with that.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't think it does necessarily.
I think it does. I think that's the magic you're talking about. That because what you do is you put up a shield in a way, like they can't hurt you anymore because you don't believe in that pain, because you know that they're human, kind of thing, something like that.
Oh, it's an interesting one. It's very interesting. Thank you.
Complicated, I know.
It is complicated. Thank you for bringing it. I don't think I have enough. I don't want to skip away from it. All I would say is it's never okay to allow yourself to be in a situation that you're abused, and to give unconditional love that allows the perpetuation of it. Okay, it's just not.
Yeah, no, I'm actually, of course, but I've been in a situation where I'm getting guidance from an angel who's always saying, yeah, you're right, that person is really playing with your head and doing awful things. But then they say, love them. And I'm thinking, what? I thought you said that I was right, that they're doing that to me. Now you're telling me to love them. So it's all strange, that's all. But it's true. Strange but true.
Wendy, just flagging up that we've just got 5 more minutes.
Yes, does anyone have any last minute questions, or is there anything that needs any more clarification? This is what we covered. Share a screen. We covered signs of gratitude, the whole thing about spiritual beings having a human experience, creating a gratitude diary.
And we had questions and answers and Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, sorry, I lost everybody, Judy.
Did you?
I got completely lost. I've lost the screen. Oh well.
Okay, well, that may be because we're coming up
I've
toward
got
the
you.
end.
I'm back again. Yes,
Okay.
thank you for helping me. Yes, that's what we had. Does anyone have at the last minute?
I just want to thank everybody for coming today to this event with Conscious Cafe. For those of you who are not familiar with Conscious Cafe, we run a network, and before lockdown, we were meeting physically in the same space. I know we've got Catherine here from Canterbury, we've got Sharon from London, and we've got Sarah, and we were all meeting in different places, and we have groups in Italy, France, Switzerland, and Singapore. But now we've gone online, so we run a range of interesting events and online experiences. We have 2 coming up, which we think that everybody who's come today will find very enjoyable. One with Isabel Losada, one with Krista McKinnon. So have a look on our Conscious Cafe website, www.consciouscafe.org. We've also got a new well-being page there, and you will find Wendy's details on our well-being page, and you can see more about what she does. And I also want to mention Wendy's book, which is called The Gift of an Angel, A Journey to Integrating Spirituality in Everyday Life, which is a delight to read and full of wisdom, and we'll tell you more about Wendy's journey to the woman she is now. But it is full of wisdom and understanding, and it gives us more glimpses into the mystic world that surrounds all of us. So, Wendy, thank you very much. I'm going to leave the last words to you, but I want to thank you very much on behalf of Conscious Cafe for giving us so much to think about. And we will be sending everyone the recording in the next couple of days.
Judy,
so, big clap from everybody.
Aww.
They're all muted, so it's a bit...
Thank you, Wendy.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming along and for the patience with the glitches. When I completely lost everyone here and there, but it was so lovely to work with you all, and I have much gratitude. Many thank yous for that, and thank you, Judy, for the wonderful Conscious Cafe. It was kind of you to mention my book, but I must also endorse Conscious Cafe. If you're not a member, you really do consider it, because it's given me so much in a way, because like my little world, my little bubble of angel world, if I go into that, take that little bubble somewhere else, people might think I'm crazy. But I can bring it to Conscious Cafe. There's lots of exploration into the mystical world that I very much benefit from. So those events are always lovely, and I've learned so much from so many people it helps to move us into the next dimension. So Judy, thank you for your lovely hosting.
Thank you,
and
Judy.
Thank you, Judy, because Judy was the person who set up Conscious Cafe. So which is a divine, wonderful thing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I wish you all a wonderful day full of
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Wendy.
Gratitude.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Maggie.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for coming, Joan. Take care.
It was wonderful. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Very quick, because I need to go.
It might not be, unless there's a quick answer. Is there a way that you can identify what's the right crystal for you?
You can dowse for it. If you rub your hands and catch them, if you see an array of them, catch the energy and put your hand over them, and you will feel your hand will dowse you. Or you can ask your angel to give you guidance and look for a crystal book and flick it open, and it will come.
Okay.
But
thank you.
Just get it quickly so one doesn't fall off its shelf and hit you. It's a joke. The books that I need to read kind of throw themselves at me. I don't want crystals to do that. They haven't so far. Take care now.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.